This episode is brought to you by Glorify, the #1 Christian daily devotional app. Everything around us changes. God doesn't. That's why I love Glorify's 21-day challenge. It helps me build a simple habit of meeting with God every day. No pressure, just consistency. With Glorify, you can start your morning by reading the Bible passage of the day, diving into Glorify's daily devotional, and wrapping up with an immersive experience called Daily Walk with God. And if you need to take a few minutes to yourself in the middle of a busy day, try one of Glorify's guided meditations, or listen to their curated worship playlists for some quiet reflection. To end the day, enjoy Glorify's sleep meditations to help you wind down and put your mind and heart at ease. Whether you're a committed Christian or simply curious about faith, Glorify has something for you. Join over 20 million people who have downloaded the Glorify app and deepened their relationship with God. Listeners to the show can get full access to Glorify for just $29.99 for the entire year. That's Glorify's lowest price ever when you download the Glorify app now at glorify-app.com/redcircle. Feel closer to God this year with Glorify. Get full access all year for just $29.99 at glorify-app.com/redcircle. That's glorify-app.com/redcircle.
Have you ever felt like life is a constant race against time? You plan, you hope, you dream, yet things don't seem to fall into place. Imagine the relief and peace that comes from surrendering to a higher power, believing that every twist and turn in your life is part of a divine plan. Join me as we delve into stories, reflections, and insights that will inspire you to trust God's perfect timing and find comfort in the waiting. Have you ever felt like life was moving too slowly, like time was standing still, and you were stuck in a never-ending cycle of waiting? Maybe you're waiting for that special someone to come along, waiting for a promotion, or waiting for your dream to become a reality. The truth is, waiting can be one of the hardest things we face in life. But what if I told you that waiting is not just a passive experience, but an active one? What if I told you that God's timing is not just about waiting, but about trusting? Waiting is like playing a game of patience, where we're constantly checking our watches, wondering when the clock will strike 12. We can't help but think that time is running out and we're missing out on precious moments. But what if I told you that waiting is not just about the end result, but about the journey itself? It's about embracing the unknown and trusting that God has a plan. When we trust God's timing, we're not just trusting in His plan, but also in His character. We're saying, God, I don't know what's going on or when it will happen, but I trust that you have my best interests at heart. Perfection is often associated with control, and when we try to control our lives or dictate our own timing, we often miss out on the beauty of imperfection. Imperfection allows us to experience life in all its messy, imperfect glory. When we trust God's timing, we're embracing imperfection and saying, I don't need to control this. I trust you to guide me. I remember a time when I was waiting for a job offer. It seemed like forever was passing me by, and I was getting anxious. But then one day, out of nowhere, I received an email with an offer letter attached. It was exactly what I had been praying for. Looking back, I realized that God's timing was perfect. If I had gotten the job sooner or later, it wouldn't have been right. But because I trusted in His timing, I was able to enjoy the journey and savor the moment. When we trust God's timing, we're acknowledging His sovereignty over our lives. We're saying that He knows what's best for us and that He has a plan to bring it about. This doesn't mean that we won't have doubts or fears. It means that we'll trust Him despite them. Trust is not just about believing. It's about acting on that belief. When we trust God's timing, we're not just saying words. We're putting our actions behind them. We're saying, I'll wait patiently because God is on my side. Waiting doesn't have to be dull or uninteresting. We can wait with expectation, expecting God to show up and surprise us with His goodness. Waiting may seem like a waste of time, but it's actually invaluable. It's during those moments of waiting that we grow closer to God and develop a deeper understanding of His character. Waiting refines us. It shapes our character and teaches us valuable lessons. In the waiting room of life, we develop patience, endurance, and a deeper dependence on God. We learn to number our days and cherish the present moments, understanding that God is at work in the waiting. This refining process prepares us for the blessings to come, ensuring that we have the capacity to handle them well. Don't miss out on the beauty of waiting. Don't rush through life thinking that there must be something better around the corner. Enjoy the journey and trust in God's timing. Life is like a puzzle. Sometimes pieces don't fit together right away. But when they do fit together, it's like magic. When we trust God's timing, we're trusting that He knows how to put all the pieces together. Uncertainty can be scary, especially when it comes to our future. But when we trust God's timing, we're trusting in uncertainty and saying, I don't know what tomorrow holds, but I know you do. I remember when my family went through a difficult time financially. We didn't know how we would make ends meet or pay our bills on time. But we trusted in God's provision.
This episode is brought to you by Glorify, the #1 Christian daily devotional app. Everything around us changes. God doesn't. That's why I love Glorify's 21-day challenge. It helps me build a simple habit of meeting with God every day. No pressure, just consistency. With Glorify, you can start your morning by reading the Bible passage of the day, diving into Glorify's daily devotional, and wrapping up with an immersive experience called Daily Walk with God. And if you need to take a few minutes to yourself in the middle of a busy day, try one of Glorify's guided meditations, or listen to their curated worship playlists for some quiet reflection. To end the day, enjoy Glorify's sleep meditations to help you wind down and put your mind and heart at ease. Whether you're a committed Christian or simply curious about faith, Glorify has something for you. Join over 20 million people who have downloaded the Glorify app and deepened their relationship with God. Listeners to the show can get full access to Glorify for just $29.99 for the entire year. That's Glorify's lowest price ever when you download the Glorify app now at glorify-app.com/redcircle. Feel closer to God this year with Glorify. Get full access all year for just $29.99 at glorify-app.com/redcircle. That's glorify-app.com/redcircle.
And waited patiently for Him to provide. Faithfulness under fire requires trust. Trusting that God will keep His promises even when things seem impossible. Life's greatest blessings often come when we least expect them. Picture yourself standing at a crossroads, unsure which path to take. It's in these moments of uncertainty that trusting God's timing becomes crucial. Just like a master weaver, God intricately designs our lives, weaving together moments of joy, sorrow, and everything in between. Trusting in His timing means believing that every thread has a purpose, even if we can't see the bigger picture. Think about the seasons of nature. Each season has its own beauty and purpose, from the vibrant blooms of spring to the quiet stillness of winter. Similarly, our lives are made up of seasons, times of growth, waiting, harvest, and rest. Embracing God's timing means recognizing that each season serves a purpose in our spiritual journey. Have you ever watched a pot of water boil? It seems to take forever, and the more you watch, the longer it feels. This is a metaphor for our impatience with God's timing. We live in a world that craves instant gratification, but God's timeline operates differently. Trusting Him requires patience and faith, understanding that His delays are not denials. Sometimes, the wait is preparing us for something far greater than we could have imagined. Have you ever felt like your prayers are going unanswered? It's easy to feel discouraged, but sometimes God's silence is an invitation to trust deeper. Silence doesn't mean absence. It often means that God is working behind the scenes, orchestrating events in our favor. Trusting His timing means believing that every unanswered prayer is a part of a grander plan, one that will be revealed in His perfect timing. Imagine planting a seed and expecting it to bloom overnight. It's unrealistic, isn't it? Yet, we often treat our dreams and desires this way. Trusting God's timing is akin to nurturing that seed, knowing that growth takes time. It involves faith that what we've planted will eventually bloom, even if we can't see the progress immediately. It's about having hope in the unseen and believing that God's plan is in motion. Let's talk about the power of divine delays. Sometimes, what feels like a delay is actually God's protection. There are moments in life when doors close and we feel frustrated or disappointed. But what if those closed doors are God's way of steering us away from harm and towards something better? Trusting His timing means believing that every delay has a divine purpose, even if it's not immediately clear. Think of a potter shaping clay. The process involves molding, pressing, and sometimes breaking down to rebuild. Our lives are similar in God's hands. Trusting His timing means allowing ourselves to be shaped and molded even when it's uncomfortable. It's about surrendering to His craftsmanship, knowing that He is creating something beautiful and unique in us. Consider the story of Abraham and Sarah. God promised them a child, but they had to wait many years before Isaac was born. Their journey was filled with doubt and impatience. Yet God's promise was fulfilled in His perfect timing. This story reminds us that God's promises are true, even if they take time to manifest. Let's reflect on the concept of divine alignment. Sometimes we rush into decisions or actions only to find that things don't work out as planned. Trusting God's timing means waiting for the right moment when everything aligns perfectly. It's about recognizing that God's plan involves orchestrating people, events, and circumstances in a way that we can't comprehend. Have you ever felt an overwhelming sense of peace, even in the midst of chaos? This peace often comes from trusting God's timing. It's about letting go of the need to control every aspect of our lives and surrendering to His will. Think about the concept of pruning in gardening. To promote healthy growth, gardeners must prune plants, removing dead or overgrown branches. Similarly, God sometimes removes things from our lives to make way for new growth. Trusting His timing means accepting these periods of pruning, knowing that they are necessary for our spiritual development and for the fulfillment of His greater plan. Let's explore the idea of divine appointments. Sometimes we meet people or experience events that seem serendipitous. These moments are often God's way of guiding us on our path. Trusting His timing means being open to these divine appointments, recognizing that they are orchestrated for a reason. It's about believing that every encounter and experience is a part of God's meticulous plan for our lives. Have you ever noticed how a caterpillar transforms into a butterfly? This metamorphosis is a beautiful metaphor for trusting God's timing. The caterpillar's transformation requires time and patience, but the end result is breathtaking. Similarly, our own transformations take time. Trusting God's timing means believing that we are in the process of becoming something beautiful, even if the change isn't immediately visible. Let's talk about the importance of perseverance. There are times when we feel like giving up because things aren't happening as quickly as we'd like. Trusting God's timing requires perseverance, the ability to keep going even when the road is long and arduous. It's about holding on to faith and hope, knowing that every step forward is a part of God's divine plan. Think about the concept of divine detours. Sometimes we have a clear plan in mind, but life takes us in a different direction. These detours can be frustrating, but they often lead us to unexpected blessings. Trusting God's timing means being open to these detours, recognizing that they are a part of His greater plan. It's about believing that every twist and turn has a purpose, even if it's not immediately clear. Have you ever felt a sense of longing, waiting for something you deeply desire? This longing can be difficult, but it's also a powerful reminder of our reliance on God. Trusting His timing means finding contentment in the present moment, even while we wait. It's about believing that our desires will be fulfilled in God's perfect timing, and that the waiting period is an essential part of our spiritual journey. Trusting Him means letting go of our fears and anxieties about the future. It's about believing that God's plan is unfolding exactly as it should, and that there is a purpose for every moment of our lives. Let's reflect on the idea of divine healing. Sometimes we carry wounds and burdens that take time to heal. Trusting God's timing means allowing ourselves the space and time to heal, knowing that God is working within us. It's about believing that His healing process is perfect, even if it takes longer than we'd like. Think about the concept of divine clarity. There are times when we feel confused and lost, unsure of the path ahead. Trusting God's timing means believing that clarity will come in His perfect time. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by life's demands? Trusting God's timing means finding rest and peace in His presence. It's about believing that God's plan includes moments of rest and rejuvenation, essential for our well-being. It's about surrendering our worries and anxieties, trusting that God is in control and that His timing is perfect. Consider the story of Hannah, who prayed fervently for a child. Her patience and faith were rewarded when she gave birth to Samuel. Hannah's story reminds us that God hears our prayers and answers them in His perfect time. Trusting His timing means continuing to pray and believe even when the answers are delayed. Now, dear viewers, please pray with me this prayer. In this sacred moment, I come before you with a heart full of gratitude and trust. Lord, I acknowledge that your ways are higher than mine, and your timing is perfect. I place my hopes, dreams, and desires into your loving hands, knowing that you see the bigger picture and understand what is best for me. Father, I confess that waiting can be difficult and patience often feels like a challenge. Yet, I know that you are always at work, weaving together the threads of my life with infinite wisdom. Help me to trust in your divine plan, even when the path ahead seems uncertain and the answers to my prayers are not yet visible. Grant me the strength to surrender my anxieties and fears, knowing that you are in control. Teach me to embrace the season I am in with grace and hope, finding comfort in the assurance that your timing is always perfect. May I find peace in the waiting and joy in the journey, trusting that you are preparing me for something greater. Lord, guide my steps and illuminate the path you have set before me. Let your presence be a constant reminder of your faithfulness and love. When I feel discouraged or impatient, remind me of your promises and the countless times you have shown your grace and provision in my life. I pray for unwavering faith and a heart that remains steadfast in trust. Help me to see your hand at work in every moment and to celebrate the small victories along the way. May my life reflect your goodness and serve as a testament to your perfect timing and divine purpose. Thank you, Father, for your endless love and for the assurance that you are always with me. I trust in your plan, and I surrender my desires and fears into your hands, knowing that you are guiding me with infinite wisdom and grace. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. As we wrap up this exploration of trusting God's timing, let us carry with us the profound understanding that our lives are intricately woven by a loving Creator who knows what's best for us. The journey of faith involves moments of waiting, uncertainty, and trust, but through it all, God's timing remains perfect. Remember that each season you experience, every delay you face, and every challenge you encounter is a part of a divine plan that is working for your good. Embrace the present moment with hope and patience, knowing that God is at work behind the scenes, orchestrating every detail of your life. His promises are true, and His love is unfailing. Trust in His timing and allow His peace to guard your heart and mind as you navigate the journey ahead. Thank you for joining us on this uplifting journey of trusting God's timing. We hope this message has brought you encouragement and renewed faith. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing it with others who might benefit from this message. We would love to hear your thoughts and experiences on trusting God's timing, so feel free to leave a comment below. Your stories and reflections are a source of inspiration and strength for others walking a similar path. Until next time, may you walk in faith and trust in God's perfect timing. Remember, His plans for you are always filled with hope and promise. Stay blessed and keep trusting in His divine timing. Goodbye, and see you in the next video.